What is going on? That is what I am thinking after watching this movie, The Age of Disclosure, this new documentary that is all about the UAP phenomenon. We're talking about UFOs, craft not of this world, allegedly, that have come here, have visited us. What does the government know? Does the government have them in their possession? Does the government have non human beings, bodies in their possession? What? Let's talk. All right, so as I mentioned, this movie is called The Age of Disclosure. I am a very UAP curious person. When I say UAP, unidentified aerial phenomena, I'm talking about UFOs, unidentified flying objects, things that have been spotted by members of our military over the years, other people that are flying around that we just can't explain here on Earth. What are these things? I have been following for like my whole life. I've been fascinated with this. I follow all of the people who do this full time, who are really into it. I love all of their content. I'm fascinated with it, but there are times that I'm in and then there are times that I'm out. Like there's just, I go back and forth. So in a way, I think this movie is for me. They're really trying to get people like me who are curious and asking questions about it, but I don't know. They're really trying to get people like us, maybe you're the same as you're watching this, on board with pushing our government to give more answers. And it's clear that people interviewed in this movie are believers. They do believe that we are not alone in the universe and that there is evidence out there to prove it. So just to get into it here, the movie Age of Disclosure features interviews with current, former government officials, members of the military, and they claim there is a top secret legacy program in the government that has found and collected crashed UAPs and the bodies of non-human beings. People in this movie who are interviewed make that claim that they have seen these things, okay? And these government employees who are working in this legacy program are reverse engineering these crafts to harness the extraterrestrial technology. That is the claim here. I'm not telling you that's happening, but that is what they say, that this program exists. It is using government money from other, that it's allocated to other things. So there's not a lot of oversight, if any oversight, over this program that's existed for a long time in the government, going back decades. So they're alleging that this exists, that there's evidence for it, and they want it to all be revealed. Okay. So no people, I'm not exactly sure, but it seems to me that people who actually worked on these things are not necessarily interviewed in this. Although some people say they have seen these crafts. I'm not sure if they've just seen pictures or if they've actually been close to them, but there's not a lot of that. There's not somebody like, I held a non-human being in my arms, right, when they watch this. So what else? I just took some notes, so I'm going to read you from my notes. That's the other thing. There is so much in this movie. I had to pause it at times and I felt like my brain was sort of overloaded with all of this. It's just like one thing after another of what? You saw what? You heard, huh? It's almost too much. I feel like there needs to be a few intermissions in this thing just for people to process what people are alleging here. The big profile names in the movie. I think that's what separates this from other UAP content that's out there is you've got Marco Rubio, the current Secretary of State. Former Director of National Intelligence James Clapper is interviewed in this. And both of them really raising the alarm when it comes to whatever these UAPs are and the threat they could pose to national security. Marco Rubio seems very concerned about this. And for a current Secretary of State, somebody who's in the White House all the time, to be interviewed and talking about this is pretty notable, I think, for that. So I think that gives this gives us this more, okay, I'm paying attention to this in a different way maybe than some of the other content that's out there, if that makes sense. I don't want to belittle some, because there are some really good UAP-related docs out there. But this one, I just feel like with the caliber, with the level of official who's interviewed in this, past and present, it was pretty at a different level than the others. So just some incredible stories that are recounted in this, as I mentioned. Eric Davis, he's an astrophysicist, was a scientific advisor for this ATIP program, the Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program, that was created by Congress in like the early 2000s, I believe, or like mid 2000s. And he claimed that he had a conversation with George H.W. Bush, the president, George W. Bush's father, George H.W. Bush, where George H.W. Bush said that he heard that there was an encounter at an Air Force base where an alien craft came down and an alien being got out of the craft and had a communication with Air Force personnel. And so George H.W. Bush asked about this. This was after he was president. So he's president, he heard about it, asked about it, and he was told, you don't have a need to know about this. George H.W. Bush was the director of the CIA and was president of the United States, and allegedly was told, we're not talking to you about this. Nope. And again, this is a conversation that somebody had with George H.W. Bush who heard about the thing. So you're like 2 levels separated from it. But the fact that it's George H.W., now, if he were on camera, recorded back before he passed, talking about this, that would be a different story. So it is sort of secondhand, but still, that is a wild story. If that's true, that is the biggest thing ever in the history of the world. Like, that's wild. Some other things that are alleged in this: Russia and China also have these programs, and we're in a race with them to unlock this technology. The bodies that have been recovered, the non-human bodies, are allegedly different species. So it might not just be one group of aliens that are coming down. It could be multiple groups. Government employees have been injured when getting close to these UAPs, including horrible burns, some scarring, like inside, some internal scarring. That's alleged in the film. Also alleged that these crafts have been going in and out of water at high rates of speed. Some of these are the size of a football field, they're saying, that are underwater, going hundreds of miles an hour and just move without any friction with the water. And we've seen this all over TV and the internet, these pilot videos, right? The pilots who have seen these crafts or unidentified things flying at high rates of speed, and they can't explain exactly what it is, making maneuvers that they don't understand how something could make in the air. So I think what the movie does well is it organizes a lot of different stories, testimonies that have been out there already. If you watch this closely, if you already watch it closely, you've seen and heard a lot of these things, but the way it's organized all together is a good combination of everything and putting it together where it's pretty easy to follow. Although I would say, like I said before, it does get a little heavy at times where you're just like, whoa, give me a break here. Let's pump the brakes on this thing for a second. And it does really have a call to action feel. So they're trying to put heat on the government to disclose. It is time, according to them, show the cards. The people are ready. Let's tell everybody what's really going on here and reveal it. We've heard enough whistleblowers. We've heard people coming forward. Let's just show everybody what actually is happening here. And that's kind of where we sit. So you've got a lot of people telling you about either the things they've seen or telling you about the things they've heard about, telling you about the documents you've seen, but we don't have a lot of photographic or video evidence. And that's something that I want to see more of it. I just want it. I feel like a lot of people have to see more. Those videos, those pilot videos that are out are kind of grainy videos from the instrument panels. We have not seen a high-resolution image of one of these crafts in action, one of these crashed crafts. We certainly haven't seen images of these non-human bodies that are allegedly being recovered at all. So there's just not a lot of that. I will say, since this came out, I think it was last night, the night of the film, David Grush, who's a UAP whistleblower who's worked in this and the government on these topics allegedly, he was hinting that the White House, the current Trump administration, may be getting ready to reveal some of this, to open up some of this. Again, though, this is just, it's led to a bunch of articles, if you've been on the internet, articles saying that the Trump administration, President Trump, wants to be the one to reveal to everybody that we are not alone in the universe. However, I would pump the brakes on that a little bit, because the interviews with Trump over the years, he doesn't seem to be all in on this. He has never seemed to be somebody who's all believing or really thinking that some of these things are extraterrestrial. So maybe something has changed that has caused his thinking to change. I've not seen anybody ask him the question yet as I'm taping this about whether that's something they're thinking about or looking into more so than they were before, but maybe somebody will ask him if anything has changed on that. And that's kind of where this sits. And I will just say, as a casual UFO follower over the years, it's been one of the frustrating things for me. We get these teases every 3, 4, 5 months or so, especially lately, where something comes out. There's this documentary's out, or there's some other video or podcast that comes out with new allegations. And there's always this new tease of, stay tuned, this person's coming forward and they're going to change the game. They're going to have the thing that blows this thing all wide open, and people like me get intrigued and interested, and then it doesn't go anywhere. And there's always some reason it doesn't. There's always, and they talk about that in the film a little bit, about how all of a sudden there's a roadblock that gets put up from somebody inside the government, and oh, I can't talk about this now. I wanted to, but now I can't. And there's just always some, I hate using the word excuse, but there's always some reason that it gets teased, and then it's like, sorry guys, we can't do it because of X, Y, and Z. And it just starts to get old after a while, and you start to feel like you're being tugged along and sold a bill of goods, and you feel kind of dumb after spending all the time. I'm speaking for myself. I feel kind of dumb sometimes. Like, man, I spent all this time on that, and then it didn't deliver, right? And that's not to criticize the people who are digging into this, because listen, if this all comes out, this is the biggest story of all time. It's the biggest thing ever. And they did the work. They did the heavy lifting. There's people at our sister station, News Nation, who do this full time, and they do great coverage on it. They put together really compelling specials and reports. And if this ends up coming out and being the story, they led that story. They were the ones that pushed to make this happen. So we'll all be looking back and saying, wow, they were right. They were right, and they did the work, and we're here partly because of them and their work. So I can't complain too much, but I just say this because I don't know if they'll watch this, the people who are really into UAPs and really focus this, but I think I'm the one, and people like me, that you need to get into your camp to start putting pressure on these government officials to start answering these questions and showing what they're working on. And if they're not working on this, then say, okay, we're not doing that, but there's something else that we're working on we can't tell you about. Whatever it is, just more disclosure about, is there really, this is the other thing. Sorry, I'm ranting, and this is going on longer than I thought it would. But the other issue is there are reports, I don't know if it's really in the film, that there could be up to $1 trillion that has been spent in this legacy program. So even if they're not working on aliens, and if this thing exists, they're taking $1 trillion of our tax money in a in-debt country and spending it on something. So we deserve to know, right, where our money's going. Do we not? I don't know. These are all the questions. So where do you stand on this? Are you interested in watching this movie? Last point, which is kind of a criticism. Again, you want a call to action. You want more people to put pressure on the government and ask these questions. They're going to have to figure out a way that this isn't $20 to rent. If you want to watch this film, it's $20 to rent it on Amazon Prime. If you want to buy it, it's $25 to purchase. I understand this took a lot of money for them to put together. It's years in the making, a lot of these interviews. Props to all them. You got to make your money. I understand it, but you're never really going to get the amount of people you need to watch this and get motivated by your situation, your cause, if there's a $20 paywall behind it. It's going to be a lot more challenging for you. So hopefully at some point they can release this either on YouTube or one of the streaming, include it with a streaming subscription somewhere. If you can negotiate a deal somewhere, that I think maybe you call up the News Nation people and they're interested in getting involved with you. I don't know, but I think that if you can get something like this on a different platform where more people can see it, that would help as well. Because $20, man, that's pretty steep. Even like $5 or $10 is more doable. $20, that is that's a big cost for a lot of people these days. So anyway, what do you guys think about this? Are you a UAP believer? Did you watch the film? What did you think? Am I off base on some of this? Should I be more all in after everything? I just need more. I need to see more. And I will say the one thing after this, I want to see more now. I want to see more. And I really hope our government officials are asked more questions about this to see where they stand and if they can put any pressure to figure out what actually is going on here. So follow me everywhere on social media. I'm at Marcus Leshock. You can reach me there. Comment below and we can get the conversation going. Also, please, if you wouldn't mind subscribing to the channel, I would love to have you here. Don't do a lot of content about this topic, but hey, if this does enough views and people are interested in it and you're interested in my ramblings about it, maybe I will talk about this more because I'm fascinated with it. And I could probably get some guests on too to answer some questions about this. So let me know what you think. Follow, subscribe. I appreciate y'all. Peace out.